Guys, we have team chaser coverage of this impending storm, which is now Hurricane Joaquin. We've got Tamara talking about preparedness. Ronica, you were with the governor today as he announced the state of emergency. But I want to start with Dan Zarrow from New Jersey 101.5. Dan, you are a meteorologist. You've been one for a while. You've been covering this thing. I got to believe that you're almost sick of talking about it because it's been building all week. What's happening?
This has been an absolutely incredible storm to follow just because of the uncertainty, the fact that we haven't been able to tell whether the storm is going to make a left or make a right, and whether we've done the models have done a pretty poor job of trying to determine just how strong it's going to get. It is an incredibly powerful storm right now.
It's headed up the East Coast. I saw one model, the contrarian European model, has it going out to sea, making a right turn. Then there was a model that had it coming up the East Coast, and then another that it hits us. And at this point, it's a Category 3 hurricane with 120-mile-an-hour winds.
You love the contrarian model, don't you, Bill?
I do.
Well, the forecast is actually starting to trend in an eastward direction. That's the out to sea direction. Now, let's not get too excited too quickly here, because I think the storm is still prone to basically clip the eastern seaboard as it shifts to the north here. It's going to lose a lot of its oomph. It's not going to be a Category 3 or 4 storm for very long. The big problem we're going to have to watch out for is the coastal flooding threat, because even if that storm is a couple hundred miles away from the Jersey Shore, we could still see the swell and the surge, the big waves, and the floods coming on shore.
All right, meteorologist Dan Zarrow from New Jersey 101.5. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. So, Ronica, you were with the governor today. He had a press conference this morning talking about how New Jersey is going to prepare for this storm. What do you got?
Right. As you said, the governor declared a state of emergency starting this morning. And when the governor spoke about this, he spoke about it in two parts. He said the first thing we need to be prepared for is the expected flooding over the next 2 days.
You need to understand that we're prepared, and we need you to prepare and not panic.
And he also, just to let the people know that he would be here, he has canceled all of his public events for his campaign up until Tuesday, and he said he's prepared to cancel more if necessary.
First question, why did he call the state of emergency today?
The state of emergency and the flooding that's expected, that's separate from the hurricane,
okay.
Right? So that's where he separated the two things that we're expecting to happen in terms of the weather. He spoke about this flooding, and he wants to make sure the people are prepared.
So the second more serious question is, was he wearing the fleece?
Yes, of course. It was funny. Everybody,
awesome.
I knew that was
the fleet comes back.
The
fleece.
Of course, the fleece is back.
His poll number should also rise.
Right. Is it? Is it back?
He was asked about the fleece today. He actually said he didn't even know where the fleece was.
Really?
Mary Pat brought that up last night. I got off the 10 o'clock call. She goes, by the way, where the hell's that fleece?
Fleece was the best thing that happened. Are you kidding?
It's the lucky hashtag
It's the
lucky fleece. Yes.
All right. Tamara, you are in Hoboken where preparations for this storm that's coming are underway. What do you got?
Yeah, as Veronica just said, the governor has announced a state of emergency for New Jersey. Now, Hurricane Joaquin has been picking up momentum, and it could reach a Category 4 by tomorrow morning. Now, I'm standing in Hoboken right now. As you can see, I'm at the lowest level near the city where it meets the Hudson River. This is where water gushed into the city during Superstorm Sandy. So I came to talk with Mayor Zimmer to find out how they're preparing for this storm.
The city is working on getting prepared, working on moving our vehicles, working on activating, making sure that our police, our fire department is ready, making sure that our CERT team is ready.
So after Hurricane Sandy, they received $230 million in awards for infrastructure to make the city more resilient. They used it for things like water pumps to pump water when the city floods. Inside is a pump. It's underground. There's a generator up here, and they pump water from up there where it gets really flooded, and they pump it back into the Hudson River. One is built, one is not. It's being constructed.
So they've got one pump.
One pump.
How many do they think they need to get to if it floods?
The one pump that was online during Hurricane Sandy only took 5 days to get rid of the water, where in comparison, after Irene, it took 2 weeks.
She got $230 million. So that's a lot of money. It's been 3 years. The city could be underwater again. They've got one pump. What has Dawn Zimmer been doing over the past few years?
So they have been working on planning these resiliency projects.
Let me guess, was there a consultant? Was there a logo they had to decide on?
It appears that it would be caught up in bureaucratic red tape. The reality is this city is preparing for flooding, whether the hurricane hits or not. When it rains, it floods here, and so they're getting ready for it.
Well, they're not ready for it. That's the problem. So here's the question. Has Dawn Zimmer, I mean, I don't know if you asked her this, but has she taken the time to draft and prepare her remarks for when the storm hits to properly blame Governor Christie?
Well, I asked her why it was taking so long for these plans, and she said that they have been in meetings every single day since Hurricane Sandy hit, that they have been trying to get this infrastructure in place.
This is the whole point of being a municipal leader, is that the people that are going to have their homes flooded, you're counting on the first responders. And then what happens is they start pointing the finger at individual first responders or someone wasn't there on time. And when it has to roll uphill. There's somebody in charge, and it's not like she didn't have the money to do it. What happened to the money? How many consultants? How many people were there that were strategizing and walking away with hundreds of dollars an hour to give advice on a pump that was never going to be built?